Back again. To shield or not to shield? That is the question. So, I had a situation today with a person where I was talking with them about going back to see their family. And their question was, how do I protect myself? I've been doing all this work on myself, and I'm worried that I'm going to slip back into old patterns with my family. And so the question is to shield or not to shield, and how to protect ourselves. And, you know, a lot of this has to do with the video that I did yesterday. So I would say go back and watch that video, because that, you know, whether you decide to shield yourself or not shield yourself, or we're going to get into just what exactly that means in just a second, has a lot to do with how you are viewing yourself in relationship to other people. Duality, non-duality, all of that. And the nuance in this, right? Because, again, like I was saying in yesterday's video, when we are in a collective where there are aspects that also have free will, there is a very real need for us to protect ourselves, right? Or to have boundaries. But what I like to ask, or what I'm going to invite people to ask themselves, is when you go into a situation where you feel like you need to protect yourself, what is the fear? So first, what is the fear? Is the fear that I'm going to drop my own boundaries and enmesh with this person? Is my fear that they are going to project onto me? So we have to look at what the actual fear is first. And then let's say, just to use an example, let's say the fear is that I'm going to lose myself within that family system. So instead of pushing against ourselves and the part of us that actually wants closeness, right? We're so afraid, we need to protect ourselves because we're so afraid that if we get back into that dysfunctional family dynamic, we're going to lose ourselves. So if we resist the part of us that wants closeness in that moment, and we're just trying to shield, we're going to be pushing against ourselves. So we want to first meet the part of us in that moment that has a need. We want to directly meet that need. So in this case, it's, let's say, to have a sense of self. And so you want to start practicing things like in that moment, let's say like feeling your body. That's a very practical thing that you can do to ground yourself. Another thing that you can do, let's say another form of protecting yourself, is to practice non-attachment, or to practice kind of removing yourself from your perspective and getting really curious about what's going on in any situation. So a lot of the feelings like of unsafety, like we have to protect ourselves, come from us fearing that we will go back into some unconscious pattern. So the more that we can practice detachment and kind of like almost observing, let's say, a family system, or a friend group, or whatever it is that we're going into, as if that were somebody else's family, we might be able to see it from a more objective standpoint. And so, yes, there are situations where we genuinely need to energetically shield and protect ourselves. But the point I want to get at here is that, you know, people ask me in this work, I work with a lot of different people who have a lot of things going on, and some of the energies are super intense, and they're like, well, you know, I'm sure you have to protect yourself, right? Or shield yourself. But while I have gone through periods of time where I really felt that that was quite necessary, if somebody has something going on in their energy field, and I'm a match to that, like let's say they have an entity or something, right? And it's like, oh my God, aren't you afraid that that entity is going to jump onto you? Well, that's only going to happen if I have an unmet need within myself that would make me a match to that. And if that were the case, then I would say, okay, well, great. Now that's just an opportunity for me to own that within myself and look at what's going on there. So the same way that you wouldn't want to walk into a hospital filled with sick children and look at them as if they're all going to die, and, you know, have that focus towards them, I choose not to have that focus towards other people, right? Because that actually puts them at a disadvantage. So if I were to like look at clients as if they were something that I needed to protect myself from, I'm not really in a space of actually trying to understand them. That creates an othering. So, you know, if just to use the hospital example again, if I were to go into that situation, I would want to be focusing at those people from a space of, wow, like, I wonder what I can learn from these people. I wonder what value I can see in them. I wonder, you know, these people are so capable. That's the kind of energy that I want to be going into these spaces with. The focus that we have towards other people makes a huge difference, right? Because if we're focusing at other people as if they are something that we need to protect ourselves from, whether they're aware of that or not, that also reads unconsciously as an othering, and that does make it hard for closeness. So, yeah, to shield or not to shield. Get down to what you're afraid of and directly take care of that vulnerability. And then if there's practical things that you really need to do to make sure that you are connected to yourself and feeling authentic and like you, then do it. But I think that we're going to eventually reach a point where we're moving farther and farther away from this idea that we can, I don't know, like cut cords and like shield and like, yeah, we do live in a physical plane. Yes, we have to move ourselves around. Yes, we have to protect our own energy. And at the same time, is that really the energy that we want other people to approach us with? And is that the energy that we want to have in the world? I don't know. All good questions to ask ourselves. All right. Just another stream of consciousness. I hope you all are doing well, and I will see you around town. Meow.